Welcome back to Deep Dive Dialogue, the podcast where we explore profound ideas to help us navigate the complexities of life. Today, we're taking a long, reflective journey into what it truly means to be educated, to live intelligently, and to bring about real change in a world that often feels, well, a bit messy. We're drawing our insights from a truly thought-provoking text, Life Ahead, and it's going to challenge some of our most basic assumptions. So, let's start with the big question. Why is the world in such a state of confusion and conflict? The author of Life Ahead observes that we're living in a world of mounting crises and problems. We often try to fix these with political reforms, organizational changes, or economic adjustments. But, as the source points out, these solutions only offer temporary relief and can actually lead to further confusion. Think about it. How many times have we seen revolutions that just end up transferring power to a different group, sometimes leading to appalling tyrannies? The source says these aren't the real answers. The core issue, it suggests, lies much deeper. It's about the endless series of anxieties, conflicts, and frustrations in which we are caught. This isn't just about what's happening outside us, but profoundly about our internal state. And here's where the truly radical idea comes in. The real revolution isn't out there, it's in here. The text speaks of a revolution that must take place if we are to emerge from our confusion, and this revolution has to begin with a radical transformation in the mind itself. This transformation, it says, can only be achieved through right education and the total development of the human being. We're not just talking about modifying symptoms, we're talking about changing the very source of our thoughts and actions. So, what does this right education actually look like? It's definitely not just about acquiring knowledge or passing examinations. The sources are very clear on this. Learning isn't simply the mere cultivation of memory or the accumulation of knowledge. Think about why you go to school or college. For many, it's to pass examinations to get a job. For girls, it might be to get better husbands. But does passing exams really mean you understand the whole significance of life? The text suggests that some people are very clever at passing examinations, but this does not necessarily mean that they are intelligent. True learning implies a love of understanding and love of doing a thing for itself. And here's a big one: grades and marks. The sources argue they actually degrade human dignity. They foster comparison, which then breeds envy, which is called competition. This system makes the clever boy or girl important, but that kind of cleverness isn't the same as real intelligence across all aspects of life. One of the biggest barriers to this deep intelligence and true living is fear. The source emphasizes that fear is obviously one of the barriers to intelligence. Where does this fear come from? What others might say or think we fear. Being criticized, of being punished, of failing to pass an examination. Lack of inner security, we're inwardly insufficient and empty, so we cling to outward things like people, position, and property. Tradition? Fear makes us cling to tradition. We follow what has been handed down, even if it has no vitality, no zest in life. Ambition. This is a surprising one for many. The text calls the ambitious person the most frightened of men. Why? Because they're afraid to be what they are. They feel insignificant, poor, ugly, and so they try to become somebody to cover up their inward emptiness. What does fear do to us? It cripples the mind and prevents intelligence. It destroys initiative and creativity. If you're afraid, you just imitate. It makes us insensitive to the world around us, to the poor, to the beauty of a sunset. It creates barriers between people and destroys love. It leads to self-contradiction, where one inwardly feels one thing and outwardly conforms to something different. So, if fear is the problem, what's the path? Intelligence and freedom. The sources repeatedly state that intelligence is the capacity to deal with life as a whole, and it comes into being only when you are free to question, free to think out and discover. Freedom of mind is crucial, and it arises when there is no fear. This means not desiring to imitate, to follow, to amass wealth, or to conform to tradition. Attention over concentration instead of forced concentration, which narrows the mind. Attention is limitless, without the frontiers of knowledge. When fear is eliminated, and there's an atmosphere of well-being, security, and love, attention arises spontaneously. Discipline vis freedom. Disciplined mind is never a free mind. Discipline limits thought within a system and leads to submission to authority. True intelligence has its own capacity, not forced by discipline. Now, let's talk about love. The text suggests a very profound understanding of it. Love is not comparative. Like sorrow, it just is. Comparing yourself with others, even in love, destroys it. It's not sentimentality or devotion. It is described as being as strong as death. Love cannot be bought through knowledge. A mind that pursues knowledge without love is a mind that deals in ruthlessness. True love expresses itself as humility, gentleness, consideration, patience, and courtesy. It brings refinement and purification of the mind. Love is freedom from fear. Where there is dependency, there is fear, and therefore no love. If you help a starving person with an ulterior motive, like gaining popularity, that's not love. This quality of love also expresses itself in practical ways, like doing things with one's hands, such as gardening or carpentry. It means engaging with the world through the senses, seeing the trees, the mountains, the richness of the earth, and in healing music, the song of the birds, the murmur of running waters. This also highlights the importance of a healthy body for sensitivity of mind and emotions, emphasizing that body, emotions, and mind make up the total human being and must live harmoniously. Let's unpack the mind itself. The sources delve into the conscious and unconscious. The conscious mind is busy with the immediate present. The unconscious, or hidden mind, is a vast repository of racial memories, traditions, fears, desires. It's described as far more potent than the superficial mind. Most education only scratches the surface, focusing on the conscious mind to acquire a job and adjust itself to society. This creates a cleavage or contradiction between the superficial and hidden mind, leading to internal conflict and misery. True liberation comes from understanding the total ways of the mind, including its hidden layers. When the mind constantly desires, it creates patterns and gets caught in them, becoming dull and stupid. The mind is also an instrument of comparison. This constant comparing, this is better than that, or comparing oneself to an ideal, makes the mind dull and prevents true understanding. It breeds a lack of human dignity and destroys love. What about the role of teachers and parents? They are central to this right education. A school and home should be joint centers of right education, working together for the child's total development. Teachers should invite discussion and encourage the students to inquire and to think independently. Rather than asserting authority, simply disciplining a child can cripple the mind. Parents often impose their desires on children, e.g., career choice, marriage out of fear for their safety or respectability, which ultimately stifles the child's freedom and intelligence. The elimination of fear is the beginning of attention. This atmosphere of well-being, security, and love should be fostered from a very tender age. A true teacher is genuinely interested in the student, free of fear, and helps the student inquire and think independently. Beyond these core elements, the sources introduce other key concepts for living a truly fulfilling life. Discontent, not a craving for the more, say which is envy, but a state of inquiry that burns away the dross of satisfaction. It's a movement to go beyond the limitations of what is, leading to attention and freedom, simplicity. This isn't just about owning few possessions. It's about being inwardly empty, innocent, free from accumulated knowledge, beliefs, and fear of authority. It arises from understanding each experience without clinging to its residue. Beauty, more than external form, it's that state in which the mind has abandoned the center of self in the passion of simplicity. It requires sensitivity to both the so-called beautiful and the so-called ugly. Purpose of life, you won't find it in books or from others. It's discovered by clearing away one's own inward confusion, which is rooted in the my, self-expansion, jealousy, envy, greed, and fear. Karma, not a passive acceptance of misery or a reward system. It's related to our desire for success and to climb the ladder, which creates exploitation and suffering. Respect, often mixed with fear and the hope of reward. True respect comes from love without fear or disregard for anyone. Peace, the mind itself, is often a source of disturbance. True peace is off the heart, intertwined with understanding, beauty, and love, leading to inner order and creativeness. It is not something the mind can achieve through effort or control. Equality, the division between superior and inferior, exists when we want something from others or compare ourselves. True equality emerges when function is stripped of status and there is love. Ultimately, life ahead is a powerful call to action. The creation of a new world depends on the young generation, not the old, who have frankly made an awful mess of it. This new world cannot be built on old ideas, fear, or superstitions. It requires individuals to be free of acquisitiveness, envy, greed, nationalism, and narrow religious thought. It demands a spirit of revolt from childhood onwards, questioning everything, never merely accepting. It means cultivating intelligence born of freedom, not through discipline or external systems. The new world cannot be conceived by the old mind, as the mind is the old. It's about being able to meet the new moment by moment, not based on preconceived ideas. So, what's our takeaway from this deep dive? It's a continuous process of learning and discovery, not just accumulating knowledge. It's about understanding yourself deeply, being aware of your own thoughts, feelings, and conditioning from moment to moment. This self-knowledge, free from fear, comparison, and the endless desire for more, is the path to true intelligence, love, and the real possibility of creating a fundamentally different, happier world. It is an urgent necessity in our world of mounting crises. Thank you for joining us on Deep Dive Dialogue. We hope this conversation has sparked your own inquiry. Remember, the journey begins within. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep diving deep.